What's up, guys? So today we've got kind of a special project. We're going to be working on my 4-pound Craftsman hammer. This is a hammer I've had since I started forging. We turned it into a rounding hammer. See on this side, it's got a nice rounded face on it, kind of like a smushed ball. On this side, it's got a nice flat surface, really gradual curves on all the corners. The wedge inside of here started moving out, so when I'm swinging I'll look down and notice that there's a space right here and I have to reset it every time. So what we're going to go ahead and do today is we're going to try to save this handle and just put a new wedge in. But if we can't, we're going to have to go get a new handle and then put a wedge in and everything like that. So first things first, we're going to try to take out this wedge. I've never done any of this before, so it's going to be a learning experience for me, and I'm going to take you guys along on that journey with me. So let's go ahead and go over to the vise and see if we can't get this wedge out. Alright, so first thing before we put this in the vise is I'm actually going to try and drive this further into the handle to try and kind of tighten this up and see if I can't push this out far enough to where I can get a hand on it or get a grip on it with some pliers to pull it out. So we're just going to kind of tighten down this just enough to where that'll fit through. That's about as good as it's going to get. Alright, let's go ahead and see if we can't drive this up and out. It seems to not be wanting to hang out very hard, so we're going to go ahead and see if we can't grab a punch and just punch this thing out. We're going to use this punch and just see if we can't whack this thing out. Kind of force it through. Ah, there we go. It's going right out. Nice. Let's have a look-see here. Ooh. Alright, so I'm going to throw this in the vise real quick. We're going to kind of use the same thing to try and rock this thing out of place. And that was ridiculously easy. Alright, so now we got our handle. Got our head. So while I got this out, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean this up. You can see it's got a bunch of rust on it. I tried to clean it up some when I was doing the rounding and the flat side on this, but there were just some parts I couldn't get to because of the handle. So I think we're going to go over to our belt sander and clean up a bunch of these surfaces, get it looking really nice. Maybe we'll even do a bluing on this. I haven't quite decided yet, but I think that would look really cool. So now we're going to go ahead, take that, and go ahead and clean it up. I think we're going to throw a 120 belt on. We got it all cleaned up, rounded all these edges and everything like that, just to make it easier for us to clean. Grinds aren't perfect on it. This was kind of my first time doing this type of a shape on it. Overall, it looks good. We went and buffed it with this. Still got some scratches in it and stuff like that. I'm not too worried about it because this is my hammer. Rough is okay, but what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and put a bluing on this. Here's the bluing that we're going to be using. It's pretty easy to put on. We're just going to grab a paper towel. If I can find one in all this mess. So got our paper towel. We're just going to put a decent amount on here. A good amount. All we're going to do is we're just going to take it, we're going to rub it on. You can see it start to work almost immediately on this. We're just going to keep applying, rubbing more on. Alright, so I think that's a pretty good first coat on here. You can see it's kind of got that blue hue to it. So I'm going to grab some steel wool out of the drawer over here. Nope, not from the drawer. I forgot I moved it. Out of our handy dandy rack over here. Just going to grab a chunk of steel wool. What we're going to do is we're going to buff this. What this is going to do is it kind of helps us start to even out everything. Pulls it back, just pulls back the bluing just a little bit on it. Alright, there we go. Our hammer is blued. Alright, so we got our head all cleaned up. It's looking awesome. We've got our handle without the wedge in it anymore, cleaned up and everything like that. We'll go and clean all of this up once we're all done. And then I've got our wedge here. This is just a piece of oak that I had in the shop. The last thing we've got is some wood glue. So the problem with using these metal ones is that they can just come out with vibrations because there's nothing really, there's some mechanical things, you know, friction holding them in, so that's a mechanical hold. But this is considered a chemical connection, which a lot of times is going to be stronger. So we're going to go ahead and glue this in. And then as time goes on, if this starts to get kind of loose, then we'll add a metal spacer to it. But this is kind of what you want to start out with. What we're going to do, this was the bottom. So we're going to go ahead, put this back in. And I learned this from actually a buddy of mine, how to set these. So what you want to do is you want to put the bottom here. What we're going to do is we're just going to smack it on here. And as we do that, if you'll watch, start there. This will start to seat itself. So now we're going to put a liberal amount of glue on here. This is going to be a little messy. I'm going to use this to kind of drip some glue down inside the hole here. We'll clean all this up when we're done. Okay. So now we're going to take this, set it in place here. Take our handy dandy mallet. So you see there what just happened is I drove it down hard enough to where it cracked and bent over. It's really not what we want. What we want is this to come in enough to where we can feel it bottom out and then go in and then just cut it off. I'm not too worried about this happening here though, because I think we are more than far enough in. So the final thing we're going to do to our hammer here, we're going to let our blowtorch go ahead and burn the top of this to make it all match where it's supposed to. Alright guys, the 4-pound sledge is done. So I'll see you guys next time. If you like what you saw, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.